fourth graders. All right, today we are going to start off, and we started off with math with drawing angles. And so we were using our protractor. So if you want to get out your protractor, go to your seesaw lesson here, open up your draft. We are on page page 8. All right, so Tuesday drawing angles. So we made some 60-degree angles. So let's pick a different number and we'll make that. And this is just a guide. So if you need to reference this throughout the week, you can go back here and you can reference this, that there. And so let's go here. And so the very first step that you want to do, you need some paper and your protractor. So we're going to make one that opens up to the right. And how about we made an obtuse angle on the seesaw that I just showed. So how about we do, an acute. Let's do an obtuse. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to put a dot right inside where the origin is at this circle. And that's going to be our vertex where the two rays come together and meet. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to use the ruler side of your protractor right here, and you are going to draw your first ray. So if I'm going to make this open up to the right, I'm going to have a line go like this, and I'm going to put the arrows on there to make it into a ray. And then I'm going to put my vertex right here back on the circle right here at the origin. And I'm going to line, see this black line on the protractor right here? I'm going to take that and I'm going to line it up. See how you can see through my arrow? I'm going to take that and I'm going to line everything up so it's right on 0, pointing right at the 0. And then since I'm left-handed, I'm going to use my right hand to hold it down in place because I don't want it wiggling around, because if it moves, then it's going to be off and my measurement's not going to be correct. So let's make 110. So if you notice, I'm still holding it down, but if you notice over here, the 0 is on the inner scale. So I'm going to go all the way around the inner scale. I'm going to go past 90, so I know I'm obtuse, and I'm going to stop at 110. So right at 110, I'm just going to put a little mark right there, just to mark where it is, and then I can move my protractor. And again, I'm going to draw a straight line, and I'm going to go back to the vertex. I'm going to put my pencil down. I'm going to slide the protractor over, use that ruler, line it up with my vertex, draw my arrows, and now I've made my 110-degree angle. And we said that this is obtuse because we're greater than 90 but less than 180. We went past that 90 mark. Then I can go back, line everything back up, and I can check, is this pointing to that 110-degree angle? Yes, it is. So I know that I did that correctly. Now that's 110 open to the right. I can also make one open to the left. So I'm going to line this up here, start off, draw my dot, take the ruler portion of the protractor, put your pencil on the dot, slide the line over, draw a nice straight line with the ruler, make your arrows to show your ray, flip it back over, line it back up, vertex is lined up, my baseline is lined up, and now I'm going to find 110. Now I can't use the same 110-degree angle because look, the inner scale where that 110 is, that's not where 0 is starting. 0 is now starting on the outer scale, okay? So 110 is now over here. I go all the way around. 110 is right here. Well, since it's on the outer scale, I'm going to make my mark on the outside here, okay? I'm going to take these, I'm going to line all this up, put my pencil on that mark that I just made, take my ruler, put it lined up with the baseline, draw a nice straight line, make my arrows to make my ray, and there is my 110-degree obtuse angle. Okay, so I can make the lines. I can make the lines long. I can make the lines short. It doesn't matter. But what we're measuring here is from that distance from here all the way to here. Same thing from here all the way to here. Both of those are the same, even though this line I drew longer. That amount that is opened is the same on both, and it measures 110 degrees. And again, we use a protractor to find that. I can line it back up just to check myself to make sure I drew it correctly. And I see that it's pointing right at that 100. Oops, sorry. See, I nudged it and then it got off. All right, right at that 110-degree mark. So I know that that measurement is correct. All right. So first we did that, practice drawing. Then we uploaded our photo here. So make sure you draw that out and then upload your photo. And then on this next page, this was your job. So job number 1, you're going to use your protractor and you're going to draw and label the following. So you needed to make a 45-degree angle and you're going to name it ABC. So when you name an angle, all you need to do is do just like we did, except you need to add a few more dots, okay? And you just put A, B, C. So this one's 110 degree though, so you need to make a 45-degree one. And then go back here, make 130 degrees, and this time you're going to label it LMN. Take a photo of your 45-degree angle, put it here. Take a photo of your 130-degree angle, put it here. Your second job was to go onto ST Math and do some of your puzzles and lessons there. Your third job is to write a reflection about what you learned today about drawing angles. You can either record it using the microphone or you can type it below right here. All right, then you can draft that. Then in your agenda, if you go down, for small group, we continued, where am I? Tuesday. We continued reviewing. We're a day ahead. So we actually did the Wednesday portion and we worked with number lines today on whiteboard.chat. Then in reading today, we started looking at a poem called 12. So if you go to your activities, go all the way down to week 26 reading, open up your draft. Oh. All right, so right here, the poem called 12, this is by Ryan, and it says here, zoom in, there was a cool calming breeze coming off the lake, the smell of sweet funnel cakes, and the sound delightful. Screaming were in the air. I was 12. I walked up the unfamiliar stairs and stood in a long line on the platform. I looked up at the huge metal hill with steep sides. I was brave. I knew I could do this. I was 12. It was then my turn, and I got to my seat and was buckled in. I was trapped with nowhere to go, with nowhere to run. I was 12. It began. We went up and down, then in circles, then upside down and spun in many different directions. I was 12. The ride was over, and I had tears in my eyes. The beast had beaten me. I'm not as brave as I thought. To myself, I am only 12. All right, so we went over this, and then we went back. After we read it just one time, we went back and we really analyzed and broke it down and made connections to the story and had discussions about, what do we think it means? How is he feeling? Was there any, character changes? Why do we have this repetition? So we went back and analyzed it. And then we broke off into 3 groups. And group 1, our groups were our small groups. So group A, B, and C went and they worked on the 3 questions together. And then I was popping into the rooms and we were doing small group in the breakout room today. And then when they were done, they needed to go to page 2 and click on this link here. And this link takes you to the read across the different regions of America. And we are on this page 3. And the ones that were from Epic are, let's see, Whoosh, The Brilliant Deep, 5 O'Clock Band. So these 3 that have the Epic symbol, you can go to Google Classroom and click on Read Across America and log into your Epic and find, if you go to your mailbox, up at the top, you'll see a notification for a collection I've assigned called Read Across America, and you can find those 3 books there. This one here is on, you can click it and it'll play for you. And then when I read The Quickest Kid in Clarksville a while back, I read that on Sora. So you might want to check Sora and see if you can check out the book from there. And so then that was the independent work. And then, so we went over poems. All right, writing. All right, you can draft that. Then in writing, activities and Seesaw, open up your writing, open your draft. All right, so today we worked on the second page here. It says state your hypothesis. So you want to make sure that you read the background information. So it says Susan wrote about an assignment she enjoyed. Read Susan's paper and look for any edits she needs to make. When you finish reading, answer the questions that follow. So we talked yesterday about when we're just doing edits, we don't need to read the whole passage. We just need to really zoom into the sentence it's asking us to look at. And so if you want to, that's fine. These are short, but when you get to like your state exam and benchmarks and things like that, the passages are just page after page after page. And if you're reading the whole thing, you're going to tire yourself out and run out of time and so on. So for that kind of situation, it's not necessary because you're usually just doing a spelling or adding in a quick word or fixing one sentence. You don't need to have an understanding of the story to do that. So for editing, you can skip that part. So anyway, we looked at the questions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we broke off into breakout rooms. And breakout room 1 solved number 1, breakout 2 solved number 2, breakout 3 solved 3, and breakout 4 solved 4. And so this is what the groups came up with. So they had a chance to explain their thinking, why they chose what they chose, why they decided to take out what they wanted to take out, and kind of went over their thinking on how they got that. And then let's see here on page 6, or let me go back. So the questions that we worked with today had to do with transitions and complete sentences. So these 2 right here were about transitions, and these 2 right here on the right were about the correct ways to write sentences, and talking about incomplete sentences, so things that are missing the subject or maybe the predicate, maybe it's not a complete idea. Those kind of things needed to be revised. So on page 6, you have your copy of your benchmark that you wrote. So in the groups that we were working in, after we did that, we went back and we looked at our benchmarks, and everybody's job was to look at the transitions that you used in your paper, make sure they were written appropriately, and then also to look at sentence structure. So double checking yourself and making sure that you have that, and people were sharing there as well. All right, so we ran out of time when we did this later in the day, so I'm going to go ahead and go to it just so you have it since I'm in the same document here. You can click play on this and it plays as well. But we did we brainstormed on this page 8. So I already have it recorded, just kind of how I thought through it. So go ahead and push play on the page 7, and that's there for you. But page 8 needs to be filled out, and then we'll move on to page 9 tomorrow, or maybe the next day. I can't remember when. I think I said Thursday. So if we get to it tomorrow, then great. If not, we'll for sure get to it Thursday. All right, so that was writing. In science today, we did the density lab with oil and water. So if you go to your, and I don't know why I call this sink float lab, because it's the whole week. Or it's not just, I should say it's not just sink or float. All right, so yesterday when we did our sink or float lab, we were talking about density, and we were talking about the reason why things are sinking and floating. All ties back to something called density. And so density has to do with the particle. All right, there we go. All right, so density has to do with the particles that your object is made up of. So objects that were floating, we could say that those are less dense than the water. And you will see that the particles are a lot more spread out, and they're not very closely packed together. Whereas objects that sank were more dense than the water. Those are very tightly packed together, and they look similar to something like this. And these particles, again, they're just really closely packed together. All right, so we did, and these were just some notes down here. So this I was telling the kids, and this comes from a video we're about to look at. When you have oil and water don't mix. And so the water is more dense, so it goes on the bottom. Oil, and then if you have a cork, you could throw the cork in there, and you'll notice that the cork will float on top. So the cork, out of all of these, is the least dense. Water's the most dense, and oil's right in the middle. And I always remember this order. COW spells out cow, so I kind of think about that to remember the order of this. And then I was telling the kids, this little drawing over here is you can make your own lava lamp. So you can take oil and water and food coloring, and you drop the food coloring in, and you put an Alka-Seltzer tablet in there, and when it starts to dissolve, it creates the bubbles, and it pushes that air up, and then once it releases the air at the top, once it gets to the top and releases, it falls back down, so it kind of resembles a lava lamp. And so we did that in our science notebook, and then we went over to, where did we go? We went here, and this is the oil and water lab, so you could click here and you can scroll down and you could push play here and watch how they do the lab. And then if you want to try it yourself, when you play the video, these are the items that you need. So if you're going to try it, oil, water, food coloring. Now, if you're going to do it like they do with the playing card and you tip it upside down and do all that, then you need 2 glasses that are the same size, and they have to be, the circle up here at the top, the opening, has to be smaller than the playing card, okay? So be careful with that. Make sure you're not doing it anywhere near your computer. Make sure it's not anywhere close. If you want to just see what happens, which I highly encourage, please try. Um, ask your family for permission to use some vegetable oil, or a type of, if you have baby oil or olive oil or whatever kind of oil you have, and put some oil in your cup and add water. If you get like a darker color, of put some food coloring and water if you have. If you don't have, that's fine. You can still see, because they're different colors. You'll still be able to see the difference. But look what happens when you try to mix them. You could put it in a water bottle and you could close the lid and shake it up and see, let it settle and see what happens. But at least try that part, and make some observations about, which ones are less dense and more dense. So we did that. So you can click that there, and then people were sharing. And then, let's see. Oops. Then in social studies on the agenda, there's a document here talking about the clothing that cowboys wore. So we went through and we read this, and it was talking about the different clothing. They weren't just wearing it because it was fashionable. They were wearing it because um, it was practical. It served a purpose. So we took turns reading throughout there, so you can read that. And then in Google Classroom, we went here to our social studies assignment and did the Tuesday page. So on Tuesday, your article is here. So it says, which idea belongs in the empty box? And then on page 4, or slide 4, why did most ranches in Texas have supplies and food to last for long periods of time? So click your article and listen and follow along with that, and then answer those 2 questions, and then you get out of that. And then make sure you've got your books done. And that was it for today. So I will see you guys tomorrow. And also make sure you check out the calendar. Let me show you real quick. We've got some things coming up. So tomorrow is wear your favorite college gear day. And then Thursday and Friday, we've got things going on as well. So make sure you're looking at the calendar. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.